Hello there, Eggsy here, and today I'm going to talk about the importance of character development and some points that I have considered that will turn off readers when not taken seriously. I may not be the best person to talk about this, however, we all have a say about something. And as someone who have been constantly reading light novels and constantly exposed to fictional storytelling, I have ended up with some of my own pointers on what to consider on my characters if I were to start making a story of my own. I wrote this list because last week I watched an anime that was so frustrating. I felt like I had to write down the things that turned me off watching this anime, and I felt like I have to share this to you guys. So here goes my list. The first one is relatability, or how relatable is the development of the character. The first thing that really lights a spark to a person when reading a light novel or watching an anime is how relatable the character is in the situation that the character is currently in. If your place if you place your main character at a very well-grounded spot in the very beginning of your story where the readers can take enough time to understand what the main character really is like and what the state the character is currently into, then chances are the readers will subconsciously want to continue with your story to know what steps your main character is going to take to resolve or get away with its current situation or state. Because there's this emotional attachment somehow that you relate to the character and you feel like you want to know how will this continue, how will the character react to such challenges in the story. And so I feel like relatability is a really good thing to consider when writing a character in a situation on a story. And the next thing is nature versus nurture. Is is it by nature that your character acts that way, or was your character influenced to act that way? And given that, how will the character change as the story progresses? Will the character remain faithful to who he is, or did he find it acceptable to change given the circumstances he was in? I believe it's really important as much as possible to never put your voice on the character, but rather create a plausible voice for the character based on how the character was built by nature and how the character is influenced moving forward. It is really quite a good argument to talk about how the character should act at the end of the story. Should it be by nature or should it be by nurture? It depends on how you build the character and what the beliefs the character have, and it's up to the writer, of course. And it will be unique in some way and will be quite interesting to see some points where the main character acted this way because of this, because of that, and the character decided to do this because of this and because of that, and because you have the proper basis and the foundation that you as a writer decided that this is the main reason why, then the readers will find it acceptable and plausible to continue with the story because the reasoning behind the main protagonist or the character's actions are quite justifiable. Now, moving on with the third one, which is Holy Grail, or what is the goal or the aim of the character that made or will make the character change in some way moving forward in the story. So, some characters change because of some problems. Some characters had to best themselves to reach from one point to another. But you might want to consider what kind of battle you are giving to your character, and is it feasible enough? Because if it is extreme enough, then the readers might think this is too far fetched. Or if it is believable enough, then the readers will understand that the character had to undergo some change to reach to where he wants to go or to be who he wants to become. We usually see this in characters who suddenly become antagonists to achieve something. And we also see this on rivalry, who wants to us to know who is stronger than the other. Or some protagonist who had it rough and what's left to do is to become the bad guy himself, to change something for the better. Plausible reasons to change allow readers to empathize or sympathize, making an emotional connection between the readers and the characters. And our next one would be desire, or what the readers want. if they were in their shoes. I believe giving something to a character that the readers desire in real life is a really huge impact when it comes to fictional stories, even if it's wishful thinking. For example, at first your character was weak and the entire gravity of conflict was focused on how unable your character is. Then suddenly, because of some unforeseen event or because of the challenges the character had to undergo, you compensate the characters with abilities or traits that the readers would want if they were in their shoes. This is pretty common to isekai genres. First, the protagonist gives an impression that you can relate to them, that you both are experiencing a struggle or a crisis in life and whatnot. And then suddenly, when the character was moved to a different world, everything changes. The character may turn out to be overpowered or being loved by the characters around the story, and or the character found meaning to his life compared to the life he had before. Even if it's wishful thinking, it's really nice to give hope to the readers, especially if they are experiencing the same weaknesses, challenges, and battles with the main character in the story. So I believe this one is a really good thing to consider writing fictional stories. The last one would be the conclusion. How does the character end up in the story? Or how will the character end up in the story? Did the character become the hero he always wanted to become? Or did the character become the side character or the supporting character of the story? Or did he become the villain of the story? Did it justify what the character is going through and the character's goal in the beginning? Is it an acceptable end for the character given what the character has been through or given what or who the character is in the very beginning of the story? I believe the conclusion of the story is really important to some readers or especially to some avid readers or viewers who have constantly been thinking what will be the end or how will the character or the main character end up in the story because they are rooting for the main character. If not, they're rooting for the main character to fall down. But either way, there should be a justifiable basis or somehow a plausible reason as to how or why the character ended up in a way that how the writer want to end up the character to. And that's it for now, guys. I know character development is a really big scope to discuss. And I really wanted to become more articulate when it comes to sharing this idea or some pointers that I have. However, I believe you also have your own way of writing your own characters, and this is just pointers of my own that you might want to consider as well. But either way, it's all good. And by the way, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more contents in the future. Thank you.